is a recommendation by the police chief to appoint the volunteer position of a police surgeon. Chief Alfano, why don't you explain what...
First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Alan Kong to the board.
Oh, pleasure, Stan, my pleasure. Dr. John, pleasure.
Larry Delaney.
Pleasure. Mark's pleasure.
Well, this is a very exciting time for me to come before the board. First, I'll give you a little history of the term, police surgeon. No, he's not going to be operating on us or anyone else. In law enforcement, as many departments have police chaplains, as such as we do, the term police surgeon is an older term in law enforcement, very well-established term, where it's doctors who are basically serving as the medical advisors for a police department. Larger police departments, much larger than us, actually pay them. Needless to say, we can't afford to do that, but we are very fortunate. Dr. Kong offered to volunteer his services as our medical advisor for the Bolton Police Department. And he's already conducted numerous training classes, actual field exercises, all kinds of first aid classes for the officers, and provided recommendations to us as far as first aid equipment, procedures, techniques, tactics for emergency medicine as it relates to police personnel. So what we would like to do is really kind of formalize everything he's been doing for us on his own time and have him continue to serve with us in that capacity. Easy to write the letter of recommendation. I think you all saw Dr. Kong's resume. This guy literally has done it all, and he served our country in the Navy, an Annapolis graduate, atomic submarines, helicopters. He's been to medical school. He's a top-notch emergency room physician. He's also been through a police academy. He's a certified police officer. He's been on SWAT teams. I mean, I don't think there's anything that he hasn't done, yet being one of the most, you see that commercial on TV, the most interesting man in the world. He's my most interesting man in the world, but I have to tell you, he is probably one of the most humble gentlemen I've ever met in my life, and we're just tickled pink that he would like to volunteer his time and effort to assist at no charge the Bolton Police Department.
Now, you told me how to move here, right?
He was Bolton resident. Yeah, he was Bolton resident. So, and he's also a member of the Bolton Ambulance Squad. So technically, he's a part-time employee as well.
Excellent.
But his focus really is on the law enforcement end of medicine, and certainly I'd love you to speak to him and talk to him, and we're just tickled pink that he wants to help us out.
That's great.
Huge resource.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, though it's not something, I hadn't heard of police surgeons. I Google it, and you don't find many in Massachusetts. Like down in New York, they're doing physicals or something.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like different, it's different.
It's different across the country.
Right. Here, it's essentially an honorary title, but to somebody who's going to be able to add value to the department.
Yeah, it formalizes what he's already been doing for us. And it makes him a member of the department as opposed to somebody that's helping us out regularly. And needless to say, my staff to a person, they think the world of him. He's really demonstrated to us his professionalism and his expertise, and he's just a great person.
No, it's great.
No,
well,
sounds good, right?
Officially.
I move that we appoint Dr. Alan Kong as the police surgeon for the town.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I just wanted to say, the reason why I do this is because the men and women of the police department, because I interact on them on almost daily basis, with the ambulance service, and I've never seen the cooperation anywhere else than I've seen in Bolton, where the officers provide care immediately to the citizens, and then they help assist us in any way possible. And it's really, I think, a direct reflection of the leadership from Chief Alfano, and I can't say enough about that, because I am active as a police officer up in Maine, and I must say that I use Chief Alfano as a gold standard.
No, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our agenda is a request from Terry Abdalian to proclaim the month of May as Senior Appreciation Month. And we have a proposed proclamation, which I'll read. Unless you want to read it, Terry?
I generally have read it,
All
but
right.
you can read it, they'll give it a different voice.
Whereas the town of Bolton includes a thriving community of older residents who deserve recognition for their contributions and sacrifices to ensure a better life for future generations. And whereas the town of Bolton is committed to helping all individuals live longer, healthier lives in the communities of their choice for as long as possible. And whereas 2015 is the 50th anniversary of the Older Americans Act, which provides services that help older adults remain healthy and independent. And whereas these programs provide home-delivered congregate meals, caregiver support, community-based assistance, preventative health services, elder abuse protection, and much more. And whereas the town of Bolton recognizes the value of community engagement and service in helping older adults remain healthy and active while giving back to others. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by promoting and engaging in activity, wellness, and social inclusion, emphasizing home and community-based services that include independent living, ensuring community members of all ages benefit from the contributions and experience of older adults. Therefore, the Board of Selectmen of Bolton, Massachusetts hereby proclaim May 2015 to be Senior Appreciation Month. We urge every resident to take time this month to celebrate older adults and the people who serve and support them as powerful and vital individuals who contribute greatly to the community. Well, I think it's pretty nicely worded.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so this, just to give a little bit of history, unbeknownst to us, the Older Americans Act started 50 years ago. But I'd say it was 2008 that we as a group, the Friends of Bolton Seniors and the Council on Aging, decided that we should have a month for senior appreciation. And lo and behold, it's the month of May nationally. So we said, okay, we'll just adopt that. So we've been doing this since 2008. And as a result, I mean, just to give a little statistics, the population in Bolton of residents over the age of 60 is close to 20%, if not that yet. And what we do during the month of May is we try and do just some extra special things. And again, just to have all of the residents of Bolton recognize the importance that our seniors and elder residents provide or give to the town, both because of their history and volunteer work that they do and contributions they make to the community. So if I just may say the things that are happening during the month of May, what goes on normally. So May 1st, Linda's nodding her head because for all these years along with us, she has helped promote the delivery of May baskets to seniors 85 and older in town, and that's about 60 deliveries. We have more than 60 seniors over 85, but some of them are with their spouses, so it's about 60 deliveries we make. And the second graders make the May baskets. They're adorable. They're terrific, and everybody appreciates that. Then that's May Day, May 1st. Then May 5th, the First Parish Church, again, has been participating since we've started the program, or the recognition of seniors this month. They're having a luncheon, and at that luncheon, Roger Breeze always has some history that he teaches us about the town, and a great meal by the First Parish Church, and then we also honor the oldest citizen in town. Then on May 19th, the Friends of Bolton Seniors will be doing a lunch and a themed-oriented program at our Tuesday Connections. And finally, on June 30th, we creep into June for the last 3 years, along with the help and contributions from the local Bolton Cultural Council and Friends of Bolton Seniors. We go to a play in Stoneham, at the Stoneham Theater. The seniors are paying less than half of the cost of the ticket. And with the local cultural council and ourselves, we pick up the rest. So that's a fun day. So that's what we do in addition to whatever goes on at the senior center.
Is there a theme?
Yes, well, the theme is get into the act. And we are still, it's a creative process. So we try and come up with ideas of ways that people we're working on this still. We have a little bit of time, but we'll come up with something that will be fun for seniors to do. And we always serve quiche at this particular one. We serve a meal at all of our Tuesday connections. This is May, for some reason, we're always doing quiche. And then we have a cake. So that's what's coming up in May. And things are, I'm sure Sheila and the rest of the crew at the Council on Aging would welcome you to come down. Dawn was just there along with Pam, and there's a lot more going on, and that's a direct reflection to getting the activity coordinator on board. She's able to, help get some more activities going, as well as that's Erica Dowd and Lisa Dion with the outreach work is doing a fabulous job. And there's just there's more excitement and more going on at the senior center now, and we hope that continues. We're always looking for getting more activities and seeing that what goes on there grow.
Super, that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Who is the oldest resident?
The oldest
Do you wanna
resident of
reveal
Bolton is Myrtle Percola. We're just going to have to check with her family. The second oldest, I'm trying to remember. Myrtle's near 100. So we just need to check whether she'll, be able to. Unfortunately, last year we had Myrtle Wood, who is Sally Ann King's mother, passed away last year, just before Senior Appreciation Month. She had been our oldest resident. She was 102 or 103. She was a beautiful, terrific woman, and she'd been honored for about 3 years.
Well, we don't have
Thank you. The cane?
The Boston Post cane is long gone.
No, well, we searched. We believe that it might be hiding in somebody's barn somewhere. When we first sort of took that out and found out about the cane, which is a great story, we did look, and Mary helped us, with the historical, and we kind of put out feelers. We thought maybe it might be in, I don't remember whose barn, but we really wanted to go and tear apart the rafters. But that wasn't, that cane had a gold handle,
Yeah.
and it just, a lot of them disappeared.
Maybe it's in the Historical Society barn.
Don't, maybe you're not hiding it from us.
Mater has one.
Yeah, we actually wanted to bring it. I think we were going to borrow it, but, and there are some around. But yeah, how did you know about that? That's great. You know that history.
Oh, I know, and actually I know some towns have sort of have commissioned replicas.
Well, yeah, that doesn't seem quite like the real thing. Like when you see, I saw it in one town, maybe it was Ashburnham, and they have a plaque up on the wall, and each, then they have the cane up there, and then they put the people's name. For a while, they would give, this is another story that goes around, they would give the cane to the oldest citizen, and several towns never got it back.
Yeah.
So it was not a good idea. July 7th, 100.
Well, I move that we adopt the proclamation for Senior Appreciation Month.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll take that, we keep that up all year at the senior center. I don't know if anybody knows, it's new paper this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the discussion of acceptance of a gift of land off Whitcomb Road from the Damming family. Carol?
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm here representing the Conservation Commission. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago with Stephen and Deborah Damon. They live on Whitcomb Road, and they have a homestead parcel on Whitcomb, and then they have some other additional land that's at the end of Whitcomb. And they would like to gift their 13 plus acres that's in Bolton to the town for conservation purposes. And they also have an additional 34, almost 35 acres in Harvard. Spoken to the Harvard Conservation Commission about accepting that as a gift of land. And what they're doing by giving the gift, instead of putting conservation restriction or trying to have the town purchase it is that they're going through a process that is at the state level called the Conservation Land Tax Credit Program, or maybe just Conservation Tax Credit Program, where they have to submit an application and have the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs determine that they're eligible. And if they're eligible, then they'll go forward with the process of creating the deed and going to closing and so forth. And they'll have to have appraisals done as well. So they were feeling the Conservation Commission out at this point because they need to have a donee when they put their application together. And so the Conservation Commission was very interested in it being, the recipient of it. And so we wanted to let you know about it as well before we went too far down the road of considering it. And they also brought to our attention a small parcel that was in their family that's on the far side of 495 that has gotten broken off from the rest of the family land. And they would like to have the town accept that. Now, this piece that's outside of it is already owned by the town. And I think it was also a piece that might have come to the town as a tax title piece some years ago. So, and then when I've done some overlays of maps, actually this section of it is within endangered species habitat. So it seems as though, having it preserved.
Now, where is, this is the land that Harold had come and talked to us about, potential
Right.
cemetery use in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but I guess it looks like this particular parcel's further north of that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we have, the trust has a trail easement that goes in almost like right through here. And that goes all the way over to the Northwood subdivision, so you can take the trails from Horn Road all the way over to Harvard Road. And then, further to Barrow Springs. This piece as well is part of a bit of a green belt that would be enhanced by having this. The green that's over in here is the Butternut open space. So when Butternut Farm subdivision was created, there was open space given to the town for conservation. And then this piece that juts into Harvard that I don't have on this map, but I believe it might have been in your packet, which was the survey parcel. It, let's see,
So it's a 50-acre lot with like, or
well, almost
approximately-
48.5, yeah.
With-
And this piece that comes into Harvard abuts this green piece in Harvard, so
Okay.
be creating a little bit more of a green corridor through. So they'd like to apply for the application, and they'd like to use the town as the recipient, so we just, if you have.
What's the criteria that the state's applying, as to say who makes the cut on this?
This is the first one we've done or seen, so I'm not sure what all the criteria is, except for that I have been told that there's a line to get into the program. So it may not be something that happens this year. They may reapply if they don't get in, or maybe the name gets just put on the list. They do have to do an appraisal, so there may be some factoring in with the appraisal. I haven't really figured out all the values that they're looking at yet to say, but this, we'd be looking at it as a greenway. There are a considerable amount of wetland areas through it. However, it also looks as though there's been old roads and access in the past, so the family would like there to be a trail. They'd like there to be public access and a trail that would be used.
Well, it does seem like it's a fairly valuable piece of property as it connects sort of two other conservation areas.
Yeah, and Stephen grew up in town. It's been their family, for a long time.
It's fine with me.
So in your letter, you just talked about town assist with closing costs.
Oh, right. So, as giving the gift, they also asked whether or not the town had any money that would be able to help with, lawyer fees or closing costs or possibly appraisals. And the Conservation Commission said they'd be willing to use some of the Conservation Fund money. They don't know, they didn't give an amount at this point in time, but, I think Harvard had also said that they would be willing to help with that, so the hope would be to join forces, that it was like one closing and kind of cover the cost of most efficient way.
So we don't really have an estimate of what this is?
No, I believe Harvard said something around 5,000, that they would be.
And what do you have in that sort of conservation fund?
We
It's
have
about
31.
30,000? Okay. No.
So the only other caution that I've thrown out to the Damons, and again, I'm not as familiar with the process yet, is if the state would be okay with the assistance on the appraisal. Sometimes, they want, the applicant to be the one who's funded it, whether it can be reimbursed later. It's something that we figure out.
No, it sounds like something worth pursuing.
Okay, well, we didn't want to go too far down the path
Yeah, no.
unless,
No, it's
sounds good to everyone.
No.
All right, well, great. We'll keep you appraised as it goes on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dave?
Do we know how much tax income we're giving up on this?
I don't know if I have that in this folder.
I've never understood that question. When someone wants to make a gift of land to the town, and you're saying, well, we're gonna hang on to that $20 per thousand you're paying each year, instead of giving us the whole $1,000.
Well, if we don't have any real use for it, now it looks like if we connect trails, we will have some use, but I still think we ought to know what we're giving up in terms of taxes.
Yeah, I can certainly let John know that. I don't have that number in my folder with me tonight, but it's on all the, the property record cards that we have online. I can get that.
Right.
And I do think it is valuable. It's not.
All gifts are not valuable, that's why you have to approve gifts, because people could give us something that might cost us
Right,
a lot of nasty expense.
Right. And we would do sort of that same protocol of, reviewing the conditions. I don't know if there's any further information on the environmental review at this
I
point.
did. I had a conversation with our attorney yesterday and again this morning. And as a standard practice, perhaps not with land that abuts land we already have, but as a standard practice, they recommended that we have a phase one done.
Mm-hmm.
And that since it's a gift, that they recommended that it be at the expense of the town, because it's,
Right.
somebody may find it insulting that they want to give the land to us, and yet we would make them pay for a phase one, so.
Okay. This is very early in the stages. We're going to walk it
Right.
this spring with them as well. We haven't even done the once over yet.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a request to execute the regulatory agreement for the 40B development on Sugar Road. Marco Hayden?
How are you?
Good. Very good.
So I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, or if everybody knows the status of the project, where it is. I can give a quick rundown.
Yeah, why don't you, it's such ancient history, I was looking at the special permit. Why don't you, why
5
don't you
minutes
just
or less,
quickly
I'll give it
run
a-
through the history of the project and what your vision is.
The project was initially proposed as a sizable apartment community, as people know, I think 150 units. That was changed to single-family homes or detached condominiums. That ultimately, after a lengthy review process and appeal process, was approved for 42 detached homes with a wastewater treatment facility, community water supply, a whole bunch of really expensive stuff. That was back in 02 to 04, basically, the permitting was done. So it's been idle for some time. The original developer passed away, it was tied up in his family, the market went in the tank. Freddie Friedis actually ended up buying it from the original developer's family. And then myself and a partner agreed to acquire it from Freddie. This was about a year and a half ago. We came to the town with a reduced proposal. So instead of 42 four-bedroom homes, we're doing 30 detached condominiums that are two-bedroom homes. Instead of kind of a looping system that they had that kind of broke off the land from the wetlands, created different clusters of homes around individual kind of green spaces. Front porches, really took all the vehicular accesses on the perimeter, so that the outside is, the interior of the property is connected with walking paths and a lot of green space that ties into the wetlands in the back. We just think it'll be a lot more livable. The 42 homes it just overdid the site, it was too much. So by shifting it to the smaller homes and a smaller number of units, we've got traditional septic systems that we're putting in that are shared with just groups of homes, and we've got wells for each group of homes as well. So the overall impact in terms of septic is less than half of what it was before. Obviously, the water usage is the same. We're no closer to the wetlands, a lot less vehicles. It's geared towards, more, not targeted towards, young families per se. They are two-bedroom units with a master down and a master up. So for people that may want to downsize and stay in town, it's kind of an age restricted by design as compared to restriction, a legal restriction, which is a lot more flexible for everybody, I think. Singles, couples, they're modest homes. They're only 1,900 square feet. So that's smaller than what we've seen in a lot of properties, certainly in the single families these days. So we think we can hit a lot of people that are starting out, as well as people that are winding down, to give them a nice alternative, nice, modern, crisp, open homes. So we think marketing-wise, it'll be good. The market's back, so I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, no, and I saw in the agreement there, you've got eight affordable units as part of
It
it.
is still, yes, I'm sorry, it is still an affordable project, so 8 of them will be sold to first-time home buyers, 80% of median. Maximum income for a household of 4 is about 67 now. It's gone up a little bit. The prices were about 170, so very affordable.
Sounds good.
Those are distributed by lottery and all the traditional aspects of the comprehensive permit. So under the process, and the board may or may not be familiar with them, to ensure that the affordability requirements are met, that includes that the homes go to the proper people, and the oversight to the lottery process, as well as the financial aspect of it. There's a limitation on profits that we have as a developer, and a whole financial reporting process that we need to do in conjunction with the state. That is all controlled by the regulatory agreement. This will be in conjunction with DHCD. So what they do is they have the basic document. They request that we go through, fill it out, make any changes that we want. We haven't made any changes. You make any changes, it's just not worth the energy. So this document is truly just a red line document of filling in the blanks with the proper entities, the proper locations, the size of the site, number of units, number of affordable stuff. The items that you see that are crossed out are, for local addiction ads. They use it for. So we've just taken that aspect out. And then it's attached to the deed rider. The deed rider now is a standard deed rider. They call it the universal deed rider. It's the same one for all the properties throughout the state. And so I can't even actually ask you to execute it tonight should the board wanted to. What they request is, if the board is comfortable with the document and would execute it as it is, that if you can agree to do it, if it goes in the minutes, we submit the minutes along with a copy of the red line, then they control the document, make sure it's as they want it, then they'll send it back out for actual execution by the various parties, which would be them, you, and myself as the project developer. So,
Well, no, I think it's pretty straightforward, and I'm glad you're moving forward on this. And it seems like you've transformed it. I remember when it was first approved, I thought people are going to be horrified when these get built. And so it sounds like you've made a lot of improvements to the project.
yeah, the boards have been happy where it's it is a smaller project. I think it fits the site better, and from a community perspective, oftentimes less is more. So we try to do that as well.
Yeah, because I remember for the first one, almost like a mini Levittown.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it really was, and that's exactly what it was.
Right, exactly.
So we've taken, the homes are still relatively dense, in the clusters, but they have the green space that separates them. So we think they'll be well received.
So in the original plan, there's a playing field area back behind. There's
That was originally proposed.
or something for Parks and Rec or something back there.
Like a soccer field or something.
Yeah, something like, yeah.
Yeah, that's not happening anymore. It really, design-wise, I mean, there wasn't a feeling from the zoning board that it was something, it's just kind of an unmanageable thing. It's ledge back there, so why it was ever proposed, I'm not quite sure. And then you've got, there's no space for parking, anyone that's been down Forbush, you need a lot of space for parking, for a soccer field. So that isn't something that's gonna be done. We're gonna be, Conservation Commission has requested that we restrict that back area, which we agree to. But we'll allow trail access if that makes sense, and we may have some community gardens for the residents. So, but it will remain as open space for the most part. So the development area is the same space.
Sounds good.
Yeah, terrific. Sounds good. Any comments? Martha?
Mr. Chairman and members of the Selectmen, I'm referring to the memo that I addressed to Erica Uriardi about this.
Yep, we saw it. I saw it.
Representing the Historical Commission, I have kept an eye on the numbers of renewals of this permit for the last 12 years and wanted to refresh your memory. Mr. Sweeney, although he agreed and then disagreed, and then it was mentioned in the decision, we were concerned the name Bolton Manor LLC was what the Sweeney development was called, and he was going to call it Bolton Manor, and at the time the senior center hadn't been built, which is Bolton Country Manor, and then there was a big nursing home in Marlborough called Bolton Manor. So it appears that there might be a better chance that the village, that this wonderful new place is going to be built, the homes are very handsome and smaller, might be called Brigham Farm Village rather than Bolton Manor or Craftsman Village's Bolton or whatever. In our preservation plan, it was recommended that we should try and alert our citizens to different areas of historic interest in town. And this happens to be built on a part of, 15 acres that's part of a 110-acre farm. It was very active. And the buildings that had been there, one of them might have been the beaver hat-making shop that was attached to the 579 complex where Bolton Capital or Bolton Global is. So I just wanted to ask Mr. O'Hagan if he had given any thought to whether he's going to call this lovely new village Craftsman Village Bolton, or if he has another name, or if he still might take the suggestion the Board of Appeals had written that it be called Bolton, or pardon me, Brigham Farm, or Brigham Farm Village is even nicer.
Well, it's not going to be Bolton Manor, so we haven't made a final decision. I do have a partner. We are considering Craftsman Village at Brigham Farm, so to try to incorporate the Bolton. So the Craftsman Village is something I've developed a number of projects on. It's important to
I saw on the web you had there's sort of a number of these projects.
Yeah.
A lot of them sold out.
Yeah, they're all sold
Except
out.
for the
That's the good news.
high
Good
price
news,
ones
bad
in
news.
Wayland.
That's right. So I'm under construction. If anyone wants to move. A little more expensive that way. So we are considering Craftsman Village at Brigham Farm to try to incorporate the historical aspect of it, but maintain the continuity of the branding, so to speak, that we've been doing internally. So we have not made a final decision, but what that is, we are working towards a final resolution. So we do understand the significance of the site, and certainly I want to be supportive of that from a local perspective. So that's what we're discussing, but we haven't made a final determination yet.
Sure. But as far as the name of your LLC, I think you're entitled to name your LLC anything you want.
That's just
right.
legal.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I've got Craftsman Village, Bolton, Boxford,
Right.
Wayland, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is just the ownership area. That's not necessarily the project.
Right. Terry?
So just a question, sir. Timing on this project? Because, it's only been 10 years, so 13,
We're gearing up to get these signatures done. We've got the agreement has been revised, and the Board of Appeals, we've amended the order of conditions in conjunction with the Conservation Commission. All of the septic plans and wells have been, there's a couple of minor technical modifications we're making with the Board of Health, and hopefully we'll be signing off either next week or the meeting after that. So we're hopeful within, by the time we get this through the channels, it might be 60 days, but it's imminent. So we're, we own the property, so we're ready to move forward now that we've got the approvals in place.
Great,
So,
thank you.
so finally, it should happen. Yeah.
Martha?
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mr. O'Hagan for his kind consideration of that. That would be very appropriate. I didn't follow this after Mr. O'Hagan had brought this up again with the appeals board. The Historical Commission had also had a reference to the stone wall, which is along Sugar Road. Will there be any more clear cutting by that stone wall as you look into the property?
There will
And what
be.
will the condition of that stone wall be when you're done?
There will be some additional cutting of some vegetation, but not a whole bunch. I'd want to look at it more closely before I said it would be impacted or not impacted. We have done, before they had this design with just this horrible stockade fence running down the street, which I couldn't imagine anything worse. So we've got, there's the stone wall, we're gonna have some vegetation, we're gonna have some split rail fence to kind of tie things in together. But off the top of my head, I can't say if there's gonna be any impact to the stone wall. We're gonna try not to, but just with some of the grading modifications, there may be areas that it needs to be modified, but I'd have to check to be sure.
Anything that was used for driveways might be able to be piled up where the other, I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not a fancy stone wall,
Right,
but
no,
it does.
anything that we disturb, if we can use it on site, we've got a sizable amount of grading and retaining that we'll be doing on the property. So there'll be plenty of stone that we'll be using, so we'll be incorporating that into the design.
Because you've already had your scenic road hearing and thing before you purchased this, and that's why I asked, because that would be similar to what Mr. Sweeney had.
Correct. Yeah, the location of the homes in relation to the street is about the same. So like I said, I just would need to confirm. I don't want to say something and then find out that I was wrong.
Thank you.
But we will be taking it into consideration.
So what does Mark need from us
You
tonight?
need a motion to agree to execute the agreement, to actually execute the agreement.
Okay.
Exactly.
I guess I move that we agree to execute the agreement when we get the final version of it.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye. All right.
All right, thanks very much.
I appreciate
Good to see you.
it. Thanks. We'll send it back through when it comes from the hearing.
Next item on our agenda is a request to hold a 5K at Shartner Farm on Saturday, October 10th, 2015.
Well, you're way ahead of time. Wow.
We plan to do a lot of planning. So thank you for having us. I'm Kristen Gaynor, resident Bolton, and I was part of, and it's still part of, the Bolton Rally Group, who has come to you a couple of years for approval of a 5K, along with a lot of people in town.
And that's been in June.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're doing it a little differently because all of us in the Bolton Rally Group are very supportive of the Town Common project, and we wanted to do something to help that. And we also knew that in our small town, there's only so many times you can hit up the same sponsors and the same community for things that are good for our community. And there's only, this event has been very successful because of the community, both, in all facets, kids up to seniors, and it kind of is the perfect opportunity for the Town Common to, it really kind of goes in with the Town Common's vision. So, and we've been doing some other projects as a rally group, a Christmas project for RFK and things like that we've determined have been really nice and high touch, bringing the community also to be able to do some charitable things more personally. So for this year, we really felt like we wanted to give the Town Common a chance and to be part of that, to have it for the Town Common instead. That being said, is a great month in Bolton. I grew up here. I attended the Bolton Fair every year when it was in the fall, and it kind of, I feel like it's a great time of year to showcase Bolton to our own community, but also out of town. And so Columbus Day weekend at Shartner Farm, which is obviously important to our town for many reasons, and a connection to the Conservation Committee as well, Conservation Trust. And So that's kind of
So
why
just to
October.
be clear, then, the 5K will actually be run by the Bolton Town Common Initiative, not
Yes.
the pre, but pulls Kristen in to help us
You've
run.
got the expertise from two
Exactly.
successful.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So, now she's on both committees.
That's right. Now I'll never be home. So we were looking for approval to hold it Saturday, October 10th at 10 a.m. Starting around, we have Mark's Running, who did our same route and worked with Chief Alfano and the public safety team. And Chief knows as far as we've gotten so far in regards to the route. But we would want to start around Shartner Farm, go down West Berlin to Wattaquatic, take a left on Wattaquatic, but only close half of Wattaquatic, so the side closest, so no one would have to be crossing, it would be coned off. They would take a left, go down Wattaquatic, so downhill, and then a left on Sawyer, but it would be an uphill past Nicheway too, so it would go by 2 Bolton farms. Nicheway, and Shartner work really well together, and we could envision water stops along Sawyer and just kind of a nice, we don't say hilly, we say picturesque run back to Shartner. And Mark from Mark's Running, who does this and has a timer and all that stuff, would like us to end in the farm. So where Eric has the entrance to where the barn is, it kind of end in there.
And then it would actually end with a community cookouts, and we're going to be kids race by the corn maze, and hopefully it will be a great community event slash
Super, that's great.
fundraiser.
I'd much rather go up Sawyer than up Wattaquatic.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that's
That
the
was really
better.
unfair 2 years ago when Green Hill was uphill, when Green Road was uphill both ways.
Both ways, yeah. It's kind of nice too not to have to go out the same way and back the same way when you're running. It's kind of nice to have. Although when they see Sawyer, they might be wishing they were on Green.
No, sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's great. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Chief, any problems or?
No, it's always been a very well-run event. Mark, the gentleman that actually sets up the race, is a professional, that's what he does for a living. The committee's always been great and works very well with my staff, so we're looking forward to it. And it's actually an easier location for us up there than Green Road, so we're
Okay.
100% in favor of it, and we'll support it entirely.
Great.
Thank you.
As always, thank you very much.
So, and we approved the 5K at Shartner on October 10th.
I will second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Stay. Oh, yeah, no, he's so excited. He can't sleep.
Yeah.
The next item on our agenda is a request to hold the Bolton Youth Baseball Opening Day on Sunday, May 3rd.
We've been doing this for a while. The usual parade starts at Emerson Green Field Grass. It takes a left onto Main Street, then takes a left onto Wattaquatic, onto the Memorial Field.
Mm-hmm.
That takes probably about 20 minutes, I think. And then we have our opening day festivities. Kids have fun.
That should be great. The snow will almost be melted.
We're getting there.
After this morning, I don't know.
And then
Right,
we
yeah.
actually changed the date, which is why I sort of waited until we kind of finalized the date. We changed it a couple times.
Yeah, that's
But-
fine.
but no.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. It's a great tradition. And there's, Chief, you
You're all
have no
set.
problem with this
No
drill.
issues, we're
Yeah.
well ahead at this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay, well, then
Just helps us out.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the Bolton Youth Baseball Opening Day Parade for Sunday, May 3rd at 1 p.m.
I will second that.
All those in favor? Great.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now,
This is Tony.
This is request night.
request night, yes, our next item is a request to hold the 2015 PMC Bolton Kids Ride on Sunday, September 27th. Boy, people are very efficient.
There'll be lots of good things going on here. So yes, again, planning ahead a little bit.
Yep. And we've done this before in the fall. I know it had been, earlier years had been in the spring, but the fall date
I think
seems to work
the
better.
third year
Yeah.
that it's been in the fall. Yes, it does. Just as far as other kind of events and things going on, the fall works well. This is the 10th year that we've been doing this. So it's it's part of the larger PanMass Challenge, which is for adults, but this is for children, and it's great. It's all contained around Florence Sawyer School. So we have 3 different routes that are good for different ages. So starting from, just maybe kind of on the little tricycle all the way going through the woods, all the way. We have a well-marked path all the way through the office park, and then back again. So it's a great event for the kids.
That's great. The chief's not only okay with it, he'll have people there, right?
We have people there, and it doesn't enter onto a public way, so we're really happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, we approved the 2015 PMC Bolton Kids Ride for Sunday, September 27th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, the next item is a request for a variance to the sign bylaw regarding a lease sign at 626 Main Street, which is the salt box.
Not anymore.
Well, just to give people a point of reference. The
Formerly called the Salt Box.
626 Main Street. Frank doesn't like to call it.
And the reason you need a variance is just because this is slightly bigger than what the by right for lease sign would be, but it would just fill up the empty space in the...
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna exactly fill that space. There's a lot of space there, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's about 3 by 5, and it's temporary, it's not permanent, and it's just, looking for lease, retailing office.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's fine, and it's been great to see that property revitalized, so it'd be nice to get some...
Hopefully soon.
Tenants in there?
Not in 2 or 3 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Looking good. I see the septic's going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the key.
It's a bolt-on thing, so.
No, it's fine with me.
Okay, I move that we approve the temporary lease sign for 626 Main Street.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And this is a first. There's no minute there.
Yes, the town administrator report with just an update on solar facilities.
I put Minuteman on, but Linda ripped it off. So, as I've told the board previously, we received 3 responses to our RFP for the placement of the solar array on the Cap landfill. One of the 3 was clearly non-responsive, which is a procurement term. There were 2 others that appeared to be unresponsive, and I contacted both of the others and said, in my opinion, they were apparently unresponsive, and unless they chose to try to prove otherwise, that I would deem them to be unresponsive and they would be rejected. One never responded to my email saying they were unresponsive, and the other responded immediately, and we had a lengthy phone conversation with Amoresco, which is the name of the company, and I was convinced enough that they would be on the track, despite some of the wording that was in the proposal. So the subcommittee and I met with representatives from Amoresco this morning, and we came to agreement that given that they submit something on company letterhead clearing up the bit of confusion that was in the RFP, that we would continue discussions regarding a lease of the property and a pilot agreement. I don't believe that all that will be resolved by town meeting, which is why we put the article on the warrant that would allow town meeting to delegate the responsibility for the final negotiation to the Board of Selectmen. And so I think we could be on the road to do that. So I'm pretty excited about that. A separate possibility was always entering into a power purchase agreement with whoever leases that land to see if we can't get some cheap electricity for municipal use. There was an initial concept floated out that I was not really thrilled with, and the subcommittee wasn't either. But that's separate from any town meeting action. To try to negotiate a power purchase agreement is really my responsibility to negotiate it and then bring to the board to determine whether or not you think it's something we should be going forward with. But that doesn't require town meeting approval, as does the lease and the pilot. So I think we're making progress. I think we can probably get to some closure on that. So again, that could be a new revenue stream in the future. It's not going to be, a ton of money, but it could be a nice amount of new revenue coming into the town on an annual bid. It would be. So again, excited about that, and should have more information in the upcoming weeks.
Okay.
Any new revenues, good revenue.
What was the glitch, it would seem to me that one of the benefits of these things that other towns have talked about is that, you could get your electricity at a reduced rate and locked in for a number of years.
Well,
They didn't sound like they were proposing to do that?
Well, they're proposing to do it. I just didn't like the terms. There were two things. One was the length of the term would be 20 years. And I think 20 years is an awfully long time to commit to pricing in a power agreement, when there can certainly be new innovations in solar and other renewable energy, and possibly, with the advent of the new methodology to extract gas, natural gas and shale oil and that type of thing. Who knows what could happen 10 years from now? So the term concerned me. Also, there was a proposed annual escalator in it, and I don't like annual escalators. I think that sets us up for some pretty bad pricing down the future. So I'm not saying that I don't think it's something that we should continue to pursue. I'm just saying the initial concept wasn't something that I was comfortable with.
Next item on our agenda was discussion of town meeting presentations. And, I put this on here just to so we can talk maybe among ourselves as to what, if anything, the selectmen think about having presentations on at town meeting. We might have something related to the budget. But on the 117 article, is that something that people think would be useful to have a presentation, or is it by the selectmen or no? One year. And I guess other things, the traffic light, I guess that's doesn't really need a presentation. I don't know that there are other things that are on here that do, but we just wanted to put the idea.
Well, if we reference the 117 thing, it might be, the one thing that might be beneficial to put up is more of a short version of what Harold had put together in terms of, over the next decade or so, what expenses that will be undertaken. Because we really didn't have, at the two meetings, we really didn't have much of an opportunity to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
And that might just be beneficial to put that up. Because that is one of the main drivers of all this, which really is the maintenance piece. And of course, obviously, the intersection, but the maintenance of the road, the repaving of the road, which has to be done, and the various structures which will have to be replaced. So, we're talking, now with the state interested in taking over the entire length of 117 from the Stowe border to the Lancaster border, then I think that also potentially increases the savings relative to, the repaving, as well as the, the snow removal, et cetera, et cetera. So that might be good to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need revised numbers.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
For the whole length of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then we lose, the whole Chapter 90 calculation too, but.
With that calculus we've already done, but.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but in terms of have it in a form with just a couple of slides, not a long presentation.
We can Carl and I can put something together.
Yeah.
Mary Kim Elkhorn Road. Sort of off subject, but it relates to town meeting. Do you see it as going into 2 nights? I haven't seen the warrant article, so I don't know how many there are.
Well, there,
30, well, 29,
I guess the,
28, 29.
no, I think we ended up with
Oh, you got them. Did you get the
29
sit pits?
with the,
The pro forma one, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Did you get the sit pits?
Yes.
The citizen petition.
We have 2 citizens.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are two citizen petitions. I think it may well go 2 nights, because I think that, I guess our sense is just the 117 discussion may take a while. But, I mean, it'd be great if it didn't.
We're planning on 2 nights, and we have the auditorium reserved for 2
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
we only-
library's having an event on Tuesday.
So we're
Yeah,
we always are hopeful.
somebody from Concord doing a thing on Thoreau.
Yeah, we're always hopeful, but you never know.
Bad planning.
Our next item on our,
Oh,
So, are you gonna do something on budget also? I just wanna let, will you be doing anything on the budget part, or just?
well, I think we sort of have
Because
to
I
see
just need to
what
let-
sort of
Okay.
hue and cry there's out there. I guess
Okay.
we can ask
All right.
Dave.
No, I just need to let Richard know who's doing presentations from the selectmen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for.
So right now, we'll plan on 117 being a
Yep.
presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really see the budget. I mean, you know, unless there's something that advisory is going to come out with, which we need to do, you know, counterpoint on, but, you know.
Yeah. Dave?
The state is saying, I think it's $200 million of highway funds for repairs related to the winter snowstorms. And it seems to me that would be an ideal funding source for the Emerson patch thing. And I wondered if some consideration could be given to using that as a source for Emerson and passing over the Emerson patch article. It's a small amount of money, but it would save each house in town a few bucks if we didn't have to do that. I realize you can't make any kind of decision. Well, I suppose you could make a
Well,
negative decision.
the Emerson
right now.
patch, though, is not on a town
It's not,
road.
that's not chapter 90
It
eligible.
isn't, it is, okay.
No, Mechanic
Only
Street.
up to Mechanic Street.
Mechanic Street ends at the last speed
But
bump.
maybe we ought to
And then the
take
rest-
that.
I'm
Maybe we
sorry?
ought to make that a town road, though. Do a taking.
Certainly won't be beyond the
School,
scope,
right?
won't be beyond the scape of this.
We own that road, right?
We own the
Oh, yeah,
driveway, we
yeah.
actually
We
own
own
the
it-
driveway.
It's a driveway rather than a
Right,
road.
because I initially talked to Harold when we were talking about $80,000.
Yeah, yeah.
About, you know, which I never liked, but, you know, could we do chapter 90 money with this and.
There might be more flexibility with this money than.
But the source really is, it's still like extended chapter 90 money.
Is it? Okay. All right, well, if we can't have this stuff, maybe there was a chance.
Next item is we were talking about executive session minutes at our last meeing, and I don't know if folks had some, I guess I had done some sort of triage, and I thought we could release everything before July 10th, 2014, but other people had earlier dates that they thought we,
But you'll have to forgive me, I meant to get to that with our last meeting, but another things came up. I will get to it by the end of this weekend, so that we will be able to, you know, discuss it. We could.
Sure,
I
sure,
think Mark had indicated that, you know,
he had some concerns about dates back to,
right, so I'll go through them all this weekend.
Right, I think this group included some issues with they're still active in negotiations.
Okay.
These were things that the affected parties should already know about from their lawyers, so.
Right.
I reviewed that group with Mark yesterday, the upper group, and I agreed with his assessment that they weren't quite ready to be released.
Okay, I'll take a quick peek.
Yeah.
And you had, I think, believe you forwarded me.
Yes.
Yes, so I have
I
that.
can do that again.
No, I have it, if I'm pretty sure.
yeah, no, I mean, if we really wanted to hash this out, we could go into executive session to talk about them, but I don't think we need to. But, I mean,
Yeah.
once if anybody has sort of strong feelings that we should, that we're what was discussed in the executive session is still pending, then, that's fine.
And that would be this group here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but you both just.
Oh,
make
yeah,
sure
I'll
that-
review it, yeah, but I'll take care of it before the end of this weekend, so my apologies.
All right, how about other minutes? No? All right, well, good.
I'll be working
That's-
on those next now that
Well,
everything's at the
you
printers.
got nothing else to, how about some more
I don't know,
revisions
Mark's
to the
put some
warrant?
pressure on me though to get the minutes done if he needs those for his
Oh, I know,
document.
that's right. You have to take them out of order.
I will.
So I think the only other, just when we were talking about the Senior Appreciation Month, the one that when we, a year ago, when we agreed to the seniors activity coordinator position, I think one of the things that we'd asked for was kind of a report back on what what can be in common with some of the, or shared with some of the surrounding towns and such, and
We might want to.
we might want to,
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Reinforce that we want that, and invite, and invite when we can get that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Sounds good.
All right,
Okay. Well,
I guess we're done.
well, we are early, so we're sort of sitting and staring at each other, and we'll be adjourned.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.